right, gather around, class. I appreciate you all attending today. Some of you have been here a long time. You've been in the class since the beginning, and some of you are very new. We've got a lot of new faces in the crowd, a lot of you down there in the comments. I appreciate you all. The new ones, the old ones, those have been there since the beginning, and those who just started at this week's Contender Series. All of you, I appreciate the heck out of you. Thanks for attending class. Now, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes here telling you about my Patreon that I need you to join and all this stuff and how it's only $10 and all that stuff and everybody else is stupid. I'm not going to waste my time doing that. But what I am going to say is I'd love to make some upgrades on the channel. I'd love to make a few improvements to the production quality, and that costs money. So if you're interested in helping out even the slightest bit, we've got a way you can do that. Channel memberships. They're only $2.99. You can get it there. Or you could join Patreon, where I put all of my notes. I put my top 5 favorite bets of the week. And then I also put my Patreon parlay. So you get that as well as some other random junk on there. But you can get those. You can find that at patreon.com/138MMA. So if you feel like doing that, I would really appreciate it. And it is going to help the channel because the money I make from that does go back to the channel. Whether that's for, better lights, better audio equipment, better whatever. It's going back to the channel. Or just markers. Markers are expensive. So, they're not, but they are. They add up. So, anyway, we're going to break down UFC Paris in a second. I just wanted to throw that out there. Also, you can follow me on Twitter or whatever it's called these days at 138MMA. Go figure. I'm on Tapology as well if you want to see my picking percentage and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and break down these fights. I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are. That's why you clicked the video. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the first one.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, 138 proudly brings to you the hottest race in the world.
40-pound catchweight fight between Fairn and Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I think is how you say that. 4-1 for Cavalcanti. She's taken on the 2-3 in her last 5. Fairn. Interesting matchup here. 26 years old versus 36-year-olds. You get that 10-year age gap. The statistics don't lie. It's pretty good likelihood that the younger fighter wins. But we're gonna break this one down anyway. So for Cavalcanti, she's coming in fighting Fairn, who's it seems is getting this matchup because they're in Paris. It makes sense. It's she's the home fighter. She's from France. All that good stuff. Cavalcanti, she seems to be a good striker. She's got good power. She's just going to come forward and throw combinations, hit the leg kicks. She does a good job, and if she gets on top, she's got good ground and pound. A lot of times that's because she's landing strikes and then can get on top with that. So for Fairn, good striker as well. She lacks head movement, and she gets hit a lot from there, but she does have really good volume, and she is going to work the body a lot of times with knees and kicks. But her boxing combinations are all right, not too bad. She looks pretty good in her boxing combinations. I'm kind of being a little hard on her because she's 6-5 on the career. But realistically, she does have pretty good striking. And, when she hits you, you feel it. It's not knockout power, but you feel it. She's got a good cage push as well. She is strong. She can bully her way up against the cage and hold people there and kind of land some shots in that cage push. But her takedown defense isn't the best. And once she gets held down, she's not so good off her back. Another thing we've seen is she kind of fades in fights. Yeah, I don't know. It's not every fight either. There's some fights where she's fine all the way through, but she has faded in fights in the past. I think a lot of that's the weight issue because sometimes she has trouble making 135. At 145, she's done a little better, but that division's not really there, so we're at 140. Either way, you kind of have to go on the Cavalcanti side, but I would rather just pass on this one entirely. The line's wide. It's hometown fighter, I'll take Cavalcanti for the win, but yes, just for the sake of a pick. You're better off passing on this one. There are better spots on the card. Not a lot of them, but there are better spots on the card. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Bantamweight here between Basharat. He's taking on Rodrigues, who's making his bantamweight debut. He has been a flyweight in the past for the UFC. Now moving up to bantamweight. He is 4-1 in the last 5. He's taken on the 5-0 in the last 5 because he's undefeated Basharat. So, interesting matchup. Rodrigues, he's had trouble on the scales before, but he is going to be the smaller fighter here, okay? He's 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. He's going against Basharat, who's 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. So Basharat's got the size, he's got the height and reach, and he's the natural bantamweight. But Rodrigues, like I said, he's missed weight at flyweight a couple of times, so it makes sense that he's moving up here. So for Rodrigues, good striking. I guess it's Rodrigues, isn't it? He's got good striking. He strikes to all levels. He mixes up the punches and kicks. Brings them high, brings them low, kicks, punches, whatever. He does a very good job there. He's got a very dynamic attack in that sense. He's able to mix the knees up the middle, which I think are great when trying to threaten to stop takedowns because his takedown defense isn't that great, but he can make that knee up the middle give enough of a threat to make guys worry, okay, if I go in and eat that knee, I'm probably going to sleep. So he does have that option. He does have those leg kicks as well that he can go back to and use those to kind of land from outside, come back, work those, boom, hit that leg kick, then start mixing the spinning kicks. Although he can be taken down off the spin, I do think that that dynamic attack is going to give him some success on the feet. Now, when it comes to grappling, sure, the takedown defense isn't there, but he's very active off the back. He's got good transitions. He's even got a good double leg takedown of his own if he wants to mix in his own takedowns. And his ground and pound is there. He can land a lot of volume on top, land some good shots. The problem is his cardio's faded in the past before, but what we don't know if that's because the weight cut was so brutal for him getting down to 125, or if he just doesn't have the cardio. Now, that's something we're going to try to find out on Saturday because he's going down to bantamweight. If the weight cut's not as bad, maybe that cardio holds up. It's something to consider. I'm not going to hard line on his cardio and what I think of it yet because of that. So we'll have to find out Saturday. It's just unknown, okay? So what happens? You can't know everything. For Basharat, the guy's obviously looked fantastic in his career. He's 10-0. It's pretty hard to give any complaints about the guy. He's got good striking. He's got good volume, and he also can strike to all levels. He favors the kicks when he's looking at different levels here. Obviously, for Rodrigues, he's not throwing punches to the legs really or anything like that. So when I say all levels, he favors the kicks. I'm talking like body, head for the punches. Kicks can be all three levels. But either way, got good kicks. Basharat's going to use those at the different levels there. Like I said, he does have that like taekwondo style that he uses for both punches and kicks, the stance, all that good stuff. He's got good footwork and movement as well from that kind of stance. Uses it great. Mixes the takedowns in with his strikes, though, and that's really cool. Like he'll boom, boom, hit that strike, shoot under with the takedown. Whatever he's going to do there, and I think that's going to be something that he can use to win rounds, win minutes, or even just get the submission on the ground. He's very accomplished in the grappling. His takedown defense is pretty good as well. So seeing that double leg from Rodrigues, I think he might have a little bit of trouble getting those takedowns on a guy like Basharat, and we know Basharat's cardio is there. So for me, the pick has to be Farid Basharat, but it's a good matchup, and I am very interested to see how Credson looks at 135. Maybe he'll come out and impress us here. Maybe he's going to look night and day different, way better. And he didn't even look bad at 125, or at whatever weight he ended up making for 125 when he was scheduled for 125. So for me, Basharat's the pick. Let me know where you're at. I'll see you in the next fight. Matchup here, we have Jocelyn Edwards taking on the newcomer in Nora Cornolle. Now, this is an interesting one because 5-0 in the last 5 for Cornolle. 3-2 for Edwards, but realistically, we all know she lost to Lucy Pudilova. I don't know how the judges scored it that way. Lucy got robbed. Maybe I'm mad because I had a bet on her, but Lucy got robbed. Either way, Jocelyn Edwards, she is, I guess, 3-2 on paper in her last 5. 5-0 for Cornolle. Now, for Jocelyn Edwards, she does have good volume outside, and her striking's pretty good in general. The kicks are basically her best weapon. She's got good kicks at range, and the front kick in particular is what she's going to use to keep opponents at range and then land volume over the top, and she does do a pretty good job of it. We know she can't defend a takedown very well, and when she gets taken down, she does get held down. Edwards, though, her best defense for takedowns is just to kind of move and keep out of range of the takedowns. And we're going to cover more of that in the main event. So if you want a little, sneak peek at that range control is going to be what we're talking about in the main event for takedown defense. That's what Edwards has to do here, is implement that range control. Now, for Cornolle, she is more of a striker than a grappler, but she can do it all. So she is a good striker. She's got clean combinations, and she can kick to all levels. Does a very good job at that. And realistically, in the striking, like strike for strike, they're both good strikers on my estimations, but Edwards might be just a little bit better, but it's hard to say just because the levels of competition have been so much different. Now, when it comes to the clinch work, she does have a pretty good clinch. She can control her opponents and land those elbows and knees well. She's got decent grappling if the fight gets to the mat, but her ground and pound is the thing I like the most. For me, honestly, when I saw underdog odds on Cornolle a while ago, I just haven't had to jump on it. I didn't even, before tape, nothing. It was a blind bet, small bet, lunch money bet, but I couldn't pass it up. I don't recommend doing that. In fact, I recommend staying far away from the money line in either of these. I'm going to take Cornolle for the pick. I already bet her, so I kind of got to, but also it's a coin flip fight. We don't really know a ton here. The judges always seem to give Edwards the win regardless, so... But I do like the over. The over opened up at like minus 320 or something like that and has been bet all the way down to minus 160. I think this fight goes to decision, regardless of how sloppy it looks at times with Edwards just getting held down and just surviving. I do think it goes to decision. So I'm betting the over. I do like the odds on it now. Could be wrong. Could be whatever. And that was a freebie. I did put that on one of my bets for the Patreon. So there you go. You got a freebie there. Either way, Cornolle's a pick. Let me know what you have. I'd love to hear from you. We got a welterweight matchup between Loosa and the returning McKee. And to all of you who have already liked this video, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Let's break this fight down. Both guys 3-2 in their last 5. McKee's going to have a significant height and reach advantage because he's 6'2" with a 78-inch reach. He's taking on Loosa, who's 5'10" with a 74-inch reach. Now, that reach advantage is going to come into play a few times here, and I'm going to explain that here in a minute. But for now, let's break down McKee, shall we? So he's a solid striker, and he works his jab. He starts getting that out there, starts sticking it to set up that rangy cross as well. But he's going to get that jab going early. He's going to use it while he kind of comes forward and jabs guys and puts pressure on them while maintaining his range. He maintains that range with the teep kick as well. He uses that to keep guys back, throws accurate shots, mixes in the leg kicks to slow down the movement of his opponents, and he's going to put forth just a lot of volume. McKee does a pretty good job with the striking, and he's durable in case somebody gets in and lands shots on him. He's pretty durable. In fact, his durability has been a lot better up at 170, whereas previously he was fighting at 155 pounds, and that's just, that's a big weight cut for a 6'2" guy. So being at welterweight, that durability has come up some. So when it gets to the grappling department, well, first off, actually, the jab is one of the things I was talking about for that reach advantage, because obviously both guys like to use their jab. McKee's going to be able to get that jab first. If they both throw at the same time, McKee's is going to land first. Let's put it that way. So when it comes to the grappling, though, for McKee, dude's got decent takedown defense, but even once he is taken down, he doesn't accept bottom position. He's going to either try to sweep or get back to his feet as quickly as possible. Sometimes he'll have to eat a few shots to do it, but it makes sense for him and his style that he fights, so it's a good way to go. He's also got those long limbs that can help wrap up his opponent, whether he's going to look for a submission or he's going to try to just control until he can look for a sweep, or control until the end of the round if it's towards the end of a round. Now, he does have them long, skinny choking arms. You've seen him use them a few times, not a lot. He's more of a striker, but he does have it in the back pocket if he does need to go for those chokes. That's just what happens when you are, 6'2" with a 78-inch reach. For Loosa, I've been kind of low on Loosa, so bear with me if it doesn't look that good on the board, but I've been kind of low on him because he seems to beat guys, but I don't know, he doesn't do it in a way that really that stands out. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just harsh on the guy. He's got good striking. He does have good volume, and he does stick his jab very well, which I don't know that in this matchup is going to work for him. He does get good. He does have good durability. Sorry about that. He's got good durability, and he can mix in the wrestling. And when he does get the takedown, he is pretty heavy on top, and he does land pretty good ground and pound. I do think if he's able to consistently get on top of McKee, he's going to win the fight. However, I don't think he's going to be able to. I think McKee gets this one done, and I like him as an underdog here in this matchup. I think he's going to be able to stick that jab, land the more damaging shots, and it probably goes to his decision, where we get McKee winning, I believe, his first decision of his career over Loosa. So for me, McKee's the pick. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you in the next matchup here in the bantamweight division. We have Taylor Lapilus. He's taking on Loughran. Both guys are 5-0 in their last 5. Loughran is actually undefeated on the career at 8-0. There's way more experience on the Lapilus side, though. We're going to break this one down, starting with the Loughran side. He's a solid striker with good combinations. He's going to come forward, work that jab and that leg kick, and then eventually get into the combos as he's getting close. He does have good wrestling as well, and the takedowns are kind of set up just by the fact that he strikes with such power and such kind of viciousness in his strikes. He wants to hurt you when he comes forward with his strikes, and that sets up those takedowns. When he gets on top, the ground and pound is there. He does a pretty good job of it. He's fighting Lapilus, who is a very movement-oriented fighter, okay? He's got solid striking, but he's constantly moving side to side. He'll circle either direction. He'll get you faked out, move each way, and throw strikes as you're trying to come in and close that distance. And he does a very good job with that movement and still landing clean combinations, mixing his strikes together, his punches, his kicks. Comes in with the elbows, the heavy elbows. Love to see that. He mixes all that stuff together very well. And he's a good counter striker as well. So when you got a guy coming forward with forward pressure and he's landing these counter strikes, that's pretty impressive because of the way that he lands those shots. Another thing, he does have decent takedown defense when guys are able to get to him, get a hold of him, push him up against the cage or whatever and try to work for the takedown. But his best takedown defense is that movement. He's hard to get to, he's hard to get a hold of, and I think that helps him not get taken down. In this matchup here, I tried to talk myself into the Loughran side. I really did, because he's the underdog. He does come forward. He is undefeated. He hits really hard. But I got to side with Lapilus. And I think it was was it Marcus Breno, I believe is his name? Marcus Breno, that Bellator fighter. Lapilus's win over him, the way that he beat that guy, is going to be similar to what I think he does to Loughran here. He's going to be able to use that lateral movement, and every time Loughran comes in to try to land those shots, Lapilus is going to circle off, land his shots, get out of the way. And I do think Lapilus is going to have a lot of success doing that in that same way, because Breno's a dog, and he was coming forward trying to land big shots, and Lapilus was just not having it. He was shutting him down at every pass. I think Lapilus gets this one done. He's my pick. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you. Matchup between a couple of newcomers. Now, bear with me on the names. I'm going to do my best. We have Manolo Zecchini taking on Morgan Charriere. I probably butchered those, but let me know in the comments if I did okay. 4-1 for Zecchini, and for Charriere, he's 3-2 in the last 5 for these two, respectively. Now, let's start on the Zecchini side. He's a fast starter, and basically, his biggest upside is in round 1. He's going to come forward with good striking. He's going to come through with those big power shots. And he's got 9 KO wins out of his 11 victories, so that's pretty good. He's going to throw combinations, slam the leg kicks, but he's wide open to being countered because he'll swing these big, wild shots at times and leave himself just wide open to be countered. And he does fade in fights because he fights at such a high pace early on. He starts so quickly. So for Zecchini, I do think there's a lot of round 1 upside here, and that could be a very big point for him. He could get the win that way. For Charriere, he's a solid striker. He has great combos in the pocket. I love it. He'll mix in those nice tight shots, and he can throw in combination in the pocket, which not a lot of fighters can do. He's got good power in his own right, and he's going to pressure forward a lot of the time. But the problem is sometimes he gets to looking for counters and can be a little bit low volume, but his counters are crisp when he does land them. And he's a very durable fighter as well. So Zecchini's going to need to land one really, really square on the chin, get that knockout shot if he wants it, because Charriere is a durable guy, and I don't think that he's going to go down easily. I don't think it's going to be just like a glancing shot that drops him. So there is that. He is probably the better grappler out of the two as well. If he does get on top, he is probably going to be able to win because Zecchini is more of just a striker. He's not really a grappler. And I do think that Charriere has that option as well. For me, basically, you pass on this fight because we don't know a lot. They're both coming from different backgrounds of regional scene, different levels in the regional scene, and it's really hard to gauge on competition level for these guys. You pass on this fight, the odds are pretty crazy. So for me, Zecchini has really good upside in round 1. Charriere has the upside the rest of the fight. I'm taking Charriere for the win. Not mega confident, but I think he's going to be able to catch one of those counter shots, land it as Manolo's coming in. Sorry, not Morgan. As Manolo's coming in and get that counter shot, get the win. So Charriere is the pick. Let me know who you have. I'd love hearing from you. See you in the next weight matchup in a mixed up bout where, bear with me on this one. Yanis Ghemmouri, he moved to the featherweight division after being scheduled originally for a bantamweight bout on this card. He's now taking on William Gomis, who's originally was scheduled and everything fell apart. He was originally scheduled. His opponent fell off the card. The whole card got reshuffled, basically, and here's where we're at. Both guys are 5-0 in their last 5 fights. Both guys with 12 wins on the career, so just one more fight for Gomis, but whatever. Either way, the move up to featherweight is going to be kind of apparent in the height difference because we've got a 6-foot Gomis taking on the 5'9" Ghemmouri. I think it's. Let me know if I'm saying that way off. I probably am. I'm not. I don't speak French. Let's put it that way. Either way, which I think that's a French name. I don't know. Anyway, in this one here, for Ghemmouri was how we're gonna say it. He is a good striker. He's very patient though, which can be good and can be bad because he's often looking for those counter strikes. And when you're a patient counter striker, often it can be low volume if your opponent's not throwing. Now, he also has this is my favorite part of his game is the front kicks and the knees up the middle. Because those type of moves, those are the things that keep your opponent at bay and keep them back. The problem he's going to be running into, though, is he's going to be a much shorter fighter here, which you assume equates to a longer leg length for Gomis. And I think that's going to be trouble for him. You trying to land those long-rangey front kicks. And the knees might be there, but at the same time, he's going to have a hard time reaching his opponent. I do like the leg kicks out of him, though, in this particular matchup, and I do think that's going to be a good move for him. And the takedown defense is pretty decent, but if he does get to the mat, Gomis is going to have his way with him. So when we look at the Gomis side, here's the problem. He's also a counter striker. He's a good striker, but he's a counter striker, and he sometimes can be low output if his opponents aren't initiating. Guys, I'm starting to worry this is going to be a really boring matchup where they just kind of stare at each other because both guys are going to want the other guy to initiate. Now, we might not get that. We might get a great fight. But I'm starting to worry because when you get two guys trying to counter-strike, you often get a lot of standing and staring. So keep that in mind. He does have good striking defense. In fact, he just doesn't get hit often, and I think a lot of it's because he's very tall and also just keeps out of the way of strikes. Not that he's like blocking a bunch of shots, because we all know the UFC stat keepers can't figure that shit out anyway. Hope YouTube didn't catch that one, because they can't figure that one out anyway, because they count shots to the arms as a landed significant strike, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why even bother blocking if you're for the strikes? You know what I mean? It doesn't count. Like, I mean, obviously you don't want to get hit in the head, but like, it counts as a significant strike for the other guy if you block their shot. You see it. I can prove it. Just whatever. Either way, so UFC stat keepers can't keep it. They can't get it right. I'm off my soapbox. Anyway, so the dude does have good striking defense because he stays out of the way of strikes. But like I said, he's looking to counter, and that's a problem in this matchup because they're both going to be looking to counter. Now, if he does get to the grappling department, I think he's going to have a significant advantage because he's a very good scrambler and very good ground and pound. And we've also seen him willing to look for those submissions on the ground. He's really developing in that game. I think Gomis is the clear pick here. He's the bigger fighter. He's going to be... They're both good strikers, but when you're both good strikers and one guy's longer, the taller, longer guy is going to land those shots faster, and I do faster and easier because he's going to be able to hit from a longer range, and he's going to be the better grappler. So I think Gomis is the clear side. I think he's got this one. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you next time. Matchup at the light heavyweight division. We have Volkan Oezdemir, the veteran of the division, taking on the newcomer, Bogdan Guskov. Guskov is 4-1 in his last 5. This is his debut in the UFC. And he's taken on the 2-3 in his last 5 for Oezdemir, but those losses are coming to some of the higher level competition at 205 pounds. So let's break this matchup down. For Guskov, he's a good striker. He's got tons of power. He's got a laser of a cross. Just snaps that thing out. It's nice, clean, and straight. And when he hits you, he drops you. He's got a good head kick as well, but his problem is he throws single shots. He doesn't really move his head at all. And you kind of got to be concerned about his durability because he took some shots on the regional scene, and he's been knocked out by shots that didn't look that heavy. And when you've got Volkan Oezdemir standing on the other side of the cage from you, yeah, I think he's going to hit a little bit harder than some of these regional guys that Guskov's been fighting. So, although 14-2 on the career, not bad, level of competition's been suspect, and he's been knocked out. So, there is that to take into account. Good grappling. He does have a good body lock takedown, and when he gets the fight to the mat, his ground and pound is very heavy, just like his punches on the feet. His punches on the ground are pretty darn heavy. Now, on the other side, Oezdemir, he's clearly towards the end of his career, okay? We're not getting prime Oezdemir here, but we're trying to figure out if he's still got enough to beat Guskov. Now, originally, when I saw this matchup announced, I saw the odds without doing any tape, I immediately wanted to place a bet on Guskov because I said, oh, Oezdemir hasn't looked that great. This dude's 14-2, looks fantastic. He's been knocking guys dead. Looked into it a little bit more, and I was like, okay, this is an interesting matchup because Oezdemir, he still has a solid jab, and he uses it as for a rangefinder, figured out where he's at with that range, and he can generate power from any angle or range. Now, here's the deal. He can generate power upwards, across, coming through that depth, but he also doesn't need a ton of space to do it. He can be in close, boom, quick shot, generates a ton of power without a lot of space. Just the way that he delivers it, the mechanics, for whatever reason, he's able to deliver a whole lot of power. He's got a solid leg kick as well, but when he snaps it up to the head, that's lights out. He doesn't use his leg kick as often as he used to, but he does still use it. Good lead hook as well. In fact, on the feet, that's probably his best weapon outside of establishing that jab. Here's the thing, though. He's become a bit of a headhunter in his career as of late. He used to work the body a little bit more. He's lately been a bit of a headhunter, and he's been a bit hesitant as well, trying to pick those shots very well and land that big shot. But unfortunately, because of that, it's kind of not resulted in the most output from Oezdemir. So that is a bit of a concern for me. He does have good grappling. In fact, his big overhand right that he throws will set up the takedown. He either lands the big overhand right and drops guys with that, or he gets the takedown and can land up on top. And if he ends up on top, he tends to like to get into like half guard, 3/4, and then he's going to land his ground and pound from there. And when he does a good job of it. He does land some heavy shots, hurts his opponents very well. For me, this is a close fight. It's a tough fight because both guys could put the other guy out. But I'm going to lean the veteran savvy in Oezdemir, but honestly, I don't think I can bet it. I know a lot of people are big on Oezdemir this week, and a lot of people are betting him. I can't do it. He is declining. Guskov hits really hard. The value is probably on the Guskov side, but I think Oezdemir gets it done. So I'm taking Oezdemir. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you. I love hearing your opinions. I'll see you guys in the next fantastic matchup here at lightweight. We have Benoit Saint-Denis. He's taking on Thiago Moises. Now this matchup here, very fun. This should be a couple of grapplers looking to grapple, but you know, a lot of times when you get a couple of grapplers looking to grapple, we end up with a couple of strikers who are predominantly grapplers. That's what happens sometimes. This one's going to be a fun one. Like I said, lightweight division, both guys super talented, but really quick. Have you ever wanted to be Dana White? Have you ever wanted to do that? Well, have you heard of World of Mixed Martial Arts? World of Mixed Martial Arts 5 is the latest of the World of Mixed Martial Arts series from Grey Dog Software. You can find the link to it in the description of this video. Use my link, get the game, be Dana White, manage the finances, manage your roster, book the fights, create the events, run the Ultimate Fighter, whatever you want to do. You can do all those things with the World of Mixed Martial Arts series. There's some other sweet games that you can find over on Grey Dog Software's link there in the description. But the World of Mixed Martial Arts series is the one that I recommend because guess what? It's about MMA and that's about the only thing I think about. So that's what you got. So either way, go ahead and go down the link, click that game. You can at least download the demo and enjoy. If you enjoy that, maybe upgrade to the full game. Full game's still very low cost. It's really awesome. You'll get hours and hours of fun out of that game. Let's break down this fight. Now, Benoit Saint-Denis, Thiago Moises. Moises 3-2 in the last 5, 4-1 for Saint-Denis. That one loss is up at welterweight. For Saint-Denis, he is 5'11", 73-inch reach, so he has a bit of a height and reach advantage over Moises, who's 5'9" with a 70.5-inch reach. Now, something to point out here. Okay, this is a matchup between a couple of grapplers. Like I kind of mentioned, you usually end up seeing a couple of grapplers strike. I'm going to cover both things, but I'm starting to think maybe this is going to be a striking matchup for the length of this fight. Now, for Moises, his jiu-jitsu is his best part of his game, okay? He's got solid BJJ. He's very active off of his back, and he's got an extremely large toolbox that he can use, whether he's scrambling, looking to reverse position, or go for those submissions. Now, here's the deal. Sometimes he does lack the takedown ability to get fights to the mat and has to rely on his opponents to get the fight to the mat. So, for Thiago Moises, if the fight hits the mat, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is lights out. But, like I said, maybe he's going to have to rely on Saint-Denis to take this to the mat, and I don't know that he does. In the striking department, Moises, he's got good kicks. I love his kicks. Got good combinations he can put together as well. But the problem that he has is sometimes that volume can be hit or miss. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. He doesn't have, like, one-shot power either, but, you know, it's lightweight. There's not a lot of guys with one-shot power. So, for Moises, I do like the kicks. I do love the combinations. I just wonder, you know, hey, what kind of volume are we going to see out of a guy like Moises? Now, Saint-Denis, he impressed everybody in his last match, okay, including myself. He's a solid grappler. He's got good takedowns. The timing on his entries is what makes them so gosh darn good. He's got very good timing there. He's got a large toolbox. He can sweep from the mat, and he changes submission attempts together very, very well. Whether he's looking for a rear naked choke, switches to an armbar, looking for an armbar, switches to a triangle, whatever it may be, he changed those submissions very well. Now, when it comes to the striking, I do think he has the advantage here. I say that because he's got good forward pressure, he's got good volume, and he's got an absolute savage body kick that we saw on full display in his last matchup against Ismael Bonfim, where he body kicked the heck out of him, busted up his arm in the process, beat that boy down. And also, he's durable as heck. Now, you're going to get a lot of people out there that are going to say, oh, but he's got a bad striking differential. If you find somebody mentioning the striking differential against Benoit Saint-Denis, the strikes landed to the strikes absorbed, they're either just looking at numbers and not using any thought, or that's what leads into them explaining further that if you take out that fight on short notice up a weight class against Zaleski dos Santos, my goodness, that's a hard one to say. If you take that fight out, leave that one out, the striking differential isn't nearly as bad as it looked in that one. In fact, it's actually pretty good. But that fight was a short notice fight up a weight class against one of the better fighters that's, in that class as far as striking goes. So it was a tough fight for Benoit to take on that short notice. Now, take that one off, the striking differential doesn't look that bad. So it's not a trend. It's not something that he deals with regularly. He's getting beat up all the time. So take that into account. If somebody mentions that, think, okay, I remember hearing 138 MMA, tell me, oh, hey, maybe I should do my own research here, check that, double check that stat. So either way, I do think Saint-Denis is the better striker. I think the grappling is close. I'm taking Benoit Saint-Denis to get this one done. I think he's going to get it done. In fact, I actually got it. I bet this guy clear back minus 105. I wish I had got one of them plus money tickets on him. I got him at minus 105. A lot of money's come in on him. He's like minus 155 right now. Do you play it now? But I do like Saint-Denis to get this one done. Let me know who you have, because this is a very good matchup. I think it's one of the more exciting matchups on the card. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you in the flyweight matchup in the co-main event. Real quick, as a reminder, hit that like button for me. Give it all you got. I appreciate it very much. Let's break this one down. We have Fiorot taking on Rose Namajunas in the co-main event of the evening. 3-2 in the last 5 for Rose Namajunas. She has been fighting the top level of competition down at strawweight. Now moving up to flyweight to take on the surging Fiorot, who is on a 10-fight winning streak. She's 5-0 in her last 5, obviously. She did lose her first fight, and then she's gone on to win 10 more in a row. So that is where we're at now. You're going to see a lot more information over here on the Rose side. That's because she's been in the UFC for a long time. We're just going off of the notes we have. I thought about not writing all this up there, but I feel like it's applicable. So let's break this down, shall we? For Rose Namajunas, she's a very solid striker, okay? She's accomplished there. She's got good combinations, a very good head kick. Her footwork and movement is very good, as well as the head movement specifically. She does a great job with those things. Sets all this up with really good feints and a lot of hand speed, especially with that lead hook that she can send in from range. Kind of leaps in with that hook. Very quick with it. She does a very good job with her striking. Like I said, the head kick's there. All that stuff is there. Now, she might be a little lower in the power now that she's moving up to flyweight, where she is kind of built for strawweight, potentially. We won't know that until we see this on Saturday, but that's where I'm kind of wondering on the power. But the speed should still be there. She should be the faster of the two as far as that goes. So there is that for the striking. Now, when it comes to grappling, this is an area that Namajunas is definitely going to have the advantage here, because she does have good takedown defense with a sprawl. In fact, she sprawls well. And now I don't think Fiorot is going to be shooting a lot of takedowns, but I do think that there is a potential for Fiorot to try to get a couple of takedowns at the end of rounds to try and bank the round. We've seen her do it before in the past, where she mixes in a takedown when she thinks she can use it to win a round. She has done that. Now, the sprawl's there. If she does get taken down, she's very active from her back. And in fact, you don't actually want to take down Rose Namajunas, because she's very quick with the submissions. With the submissions, she's got a very good submission arsenal, and from her back particularly, she's very good at kind of threatening with the triangle and going back to the armbar and then back to the triangle. She's got a very good sequence there with the armbar triangle from her back. Now, when it comes to her offensive grappling, she's very good with the takedowns. Her timing is the thing. She times them very well at the end of strikes and right underneath, or off of a counter, step under. She does a very good job timing those takedowns. She can mix in the traditional takedowns, but she also has good trips. She'll get a hold of you and sweep that leg out from under you and bring you down that way. She does a very good job when it comes to that. Now, will the size be a problem for her? That we'll find out on Saturday. That's not something we know, because she hasn't been at flyweight since amateur career maybe. She's never done it in her professional career as far as I know. So anyway, when she's on top, the volume of ground and pound is very good, and those elbows that she throws are slicing elbows. She will try to cut you open, do damage that way, and she'll throw them from her back as well as when she's on top, working that ground and pound. So that's very impressive. Her transitions are there. She's very good at moving through, taking positions, and especially taking the back. And once she takes the back, her rear naked choke is lights out. She does have those choking arms, those long, skinny choking arms. That's what Rose Namajunas is going to do, is try and take the back, get the rear naked choke. So in the grappling department, I do think Namajunas is going to have an advantage. The striking is yet to be determined, and we're going to kind of cover that here in a minute when I cover Fiorot. A couple of things I want to mention about Rose Namajunas, though, is her mental state. She seems, and this has kind of been the thing of her career, she's kind of just like, what Namajunas are we going to get, okay? Are we going to get the one that's coming out there looking like a total killer, landing head kicks, knocking out Zhang Weili, I think is how you say it, knocking her out, hitting those big head kicks, winning good fights against really high-level competition? Or do we get the Namajunas that goes out there and doesn't do much against Carla Esparza and still thinks she won the fight somehow? I don't know. What Namajunas are going to get, she does seem to have that issue. And I understand it. It's something that happens to fighters sometimes. Their mind gets in the way, and Namajunas is just a perfect example of that. Now, another thing that we're worried about here is the fact that she's probably undersized. Rose Namajunas is a strawweight, and she's moving up to flyweight. She is a strawweight through and through. She doesn't seem to be a overly big strawweight. No, she's lanky and tall for strawweight, but she's not thick. She's not muscular. I don't think she's packed on a ton of muscle for this. Maybe she will. And come weigh-in day or whatever, if we see Rose Namajunas in there just bodied up, built like a brick house, maybe we got to reevaluate what we're thinking about on the undersize. But from what I can tell, she is going to be a bit undersized here. Now, for Fiorot, she is a very strong striker. She has kicks to all levels. In fact, she uses a very solid side kick. She uses that to keep range primarily, but she can also do some damage with it. But it's like an extended jab with her legs. And she uses that to keep range very well. She's accomplished in that striking. She's got a powerful roundhouse kick too. She can throw it to the legs, but a lot of times she's snapping it up high or snapping it to the body, looking to deal some damage with that roundhouse kick. She does a good job there. She's got good counter strikes as well. As opponents try to get past that that side kick she throws for range, they'll come in and she'll say, nope, not happening here. Hit you, land that counter shot. And once she has her opponents hurt, she's going to come in with that flurry and try to get the finish, pressing her opponent up against the cage in the process and just landing shots, raining them down, landing the power, landing the volume, and putting some work on her opponents there. That's what she does very well. The thing I like the most, okay, it's not all of this, it's this. It's the Superman punch that's set up by the kicks. I freaking love this. Now, it might not be her coolest move or her best whatever. I love it. Why do I love it? It's similar to what GSP used to do. He would set up his Superman punch with the leg kick, okay? Fiorot sets it up with a few different kicks because the way she throws her kicks. She chambers them all and throws them very like Taekwondo style. That's how she throws her kicks a lot of the time. Because of that, you can set up that Superman punch. Now, a lot of you are thinking like, what? How does that make any sense? Let me explain this to you, okay? My coach always called it our rotation. I'm not going to spill all the beans here because I don't want to give away the secrets. But what you can do is, if your motion is bringing that knee up, like your chamber, you can't see my knee, I understand. You bring that knee up as if you're chambering your kick and ready to snap that kick, whether it be a roundhouse kick or a side kick. If you're coming to snap that out, when you bring that knee up, your opponent, after they get tired of getting kicked in the body or kicked in the leg, because it sucks, it hurts, even if they're blocking it, it sucks. What happens is, as soon as they see that knee come up, not even just a feint, like you throw that knee like you're getting ready to throw that kick, they oversell out, bring those hands down to protect that body because they're tired of getting hit in the body. And what do? You shoot that back and hit that Superman punch. How it works: boom, knee comes up, boom, Superman punch over the top. When she lands that, it's clean, straight to the face. Opponent can't defend it because they're just oversold out to protect their body because they're tired of getting hit in the body. And then when she lands that, then comes the flurry. Then comes the blitz. Then she's coming in, boom, 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 going for the kill. I love that out of Fiorot. She does that very well. It's set up by those kicks that we talked about here. Now, another thing to mention, she does have pretty good takedown defense. She is hard to get to the mat. Now, Leah McCourt was able to get her to the mat in her first ever professional fight in MMA. That was a long time ago. She was coming from a striking background. It happened. She does have a pretty good ability to stuff takedowns. Now, she's fought some of the higher level gals up at flyweight. She's beat Caitlin Chikagian. She beat Jennifer Maia. She's beating the people you want her to beat. And if she can use that takedown defense that she used against those ladies, which realistically it was a lot of striking, but because she has good takedown defense, if she's able to use that here, she can keep it on the feet. And I do think the size advantage is going to help her a lot. Now, if she does get on top of Rose, she's got very good ground and pound, does Fiorot. She has the ability to get into kind of like half guard, but she doesn't really lock it down like you'd like to see somebody lock down half guard. She gets in there and just starts throwing shots because the second her opponent starts to try to scramble out, she's cool with getting right back up because she'll go right back to striking. So that's fine for her. So the ground and pound there does a very good job from that. For me, it's going to come down to a couple of things. And if something I want to point out there, okay? I'm going to take Fiorot. I do think the size is going to work out. I think the striking is going to be a little bit in her favor with that size. And I do think she's going to be able to defend enough takedowns that we don't see Rose be able to just absolutely ragdoll her on the ground. However, if you're parlaying up Fiorot at minus whatever it is, 170 something or another, if you're parlaying her up, something to consider is hedging it off by Rose Namajunas by submission, I believe is like plus 600. I may have done that. Maybe I didn't, but I may have. If I did, here you go. I just told you about it. Either way, it might be worth doing. It might be something you're interested in. If you're not, hey, that's cool. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I'm just here to give you my information and my takes. For me, the pick is Fiorot. Let me know who you have. I love hearing from you guys. We've got a rockin' main event coming up, but let me know who you have in this matchup specifically in the comments below. See you folks, you hung with us. We're at the main event of the evening, so it's your last reminder to like the video. It does help the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So, this main event here, we have Gane. He is taking on Sergey Spivac in the heavyweight division. But real quick, how the heck do you spell Sergey Spivac? I've seen it 4 different ways, I think. You can spell Sergey a few different ways. You can spell Spivac a few different ways. I don't know what the pair is. I don't know how you're supposed to put it. I spelled it this way here. I think on Patreon I spelled it different. I don't know. That's what we're running with, okay? So if you know the correct spelling, if you happen to be a friend of Sergey here, and you know how he spells his name, let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Either way, we have the heavyweight fight here. Sergey Spivac, he's been on a bit of a run, 4-1 in the last 5, looked pretty good lately. But he's going against Gane, who's been there, done that, and fought some of the who's who in the heavyweight division. He's 3-2 in his last 5, but those 2 losses, both of them world championship fights. Not a lot of shame there. He's fighting the better level of competition than Spivac. So, in this one here, there's a bit of a height and reach advantage for Gane, 6'4", with an 81-inch reach, as opposed to, it's only 1-inch height, 6'3", 78-inch reach, though. So the reach is there for Gane. Now, here's the deal, guys. I have a lot more notes on Gane specifically up on Patreon. I had to shorten this so we could make this easier, because a lot of the notes are irrelevant for this particular fight, but I was flowing and I was taking a crap load of notes. So if you want to see all of the notes, you know where it's at, patreon.com/138MMA. This isn't meant to be a plug. I'm just telling you where you can find them if that's what you're really into. Now, let's break this fight down, because it's a really interesting fight, because it's very much striker versus grappler, because the other guy has no chance at the other guy's realm. We're not going to see Spivac go out there and outstrike Gane, and we're not going to see Gane go out there and out-grapple Sergey Spivac. It's just not going to happen. The other guy is going to be better at their specific thing, whereas not so much on the other. So, and it's going to be completely one-sided in those spots. Now, Gane does have the advantage in the fact that it does start on the feet, but fights often end up on the mat, so let's kind of play this out. Now, okay. First things first, let's break down the skills, and then we'll kind of compare the matchup. Now, we're going to go Spivac. He's got a very strong grappling style, very much of a mauler. He gets a hold of you and just starts ragdolling you, tossing you around, picking you up, slamming you down, throwing big, heavy shots. He's going to chain his takedowns together, whether it be a throw, like we saw him do against Greg Hardy, where he just freaking tossed that dude, which was crazy because Greg Hardy's a big man. He's got the single legs. He's got the double legs. He's got the body locks. He's got it all. He's got these takedowns. Chains them together. He can mat return you as you're starting to get back up. Does not matter. I don't think Gane's getting back up. But either way, he can mat return you if you are starting to get back up. When he gets you to the ground, he's got a very tight squeeze. So if he's looking for that submission, it's tight. But he's also got brutal ground and pound. When he lands, it is a thud. You hear that thud land, it hurts. He's landing big shots. Spivac, if he gets a hold of you, you're in trouble. Now, on the other side, Gane. He is an excellent striker. He has fantastic movement, range control. He can strike from either stance. Gane is probably the most defensively sound striking heavyweight, I would say, by a pretty good margin. He's very good defensively, very clean in the striking, does a great job. Now, he can do this from either stance, but something that's really cool is when he closes his distance, he does it by striking mid-stance switch and uses that as a step. It's very impressive. Watch him do it and actually look for it when you're watching him. It's very impressive. Gane does a very good job on the feet, like I said. He also is constantly feinting, and that's the thing that from Gane, he's always throwing something out there, whether it's a feint or a strike. And when he does strike, it's at a broken tempo. Now, I learned this. I probably said this in another video, but I did a little bit of work with a guy named Xavier Biggs. He's a boxing coach. He trains a lot of boxers, right? He does boxing, whatever. Does like a human weapon class or whatever. It's a nice little fun thing to do. I did it for fun one time. It was a good time. Here's the deal. Xavier Biggs says, hey, you got to train to jazz. If you listen to music when you're working out, you got to use jazz. And why is that? Because jazz has like a broken rhythm to it. That's what Gane does when he's striking. He strikes at a broken rhythm. Makes it really hard for your opponent to really read your strikes. If you're out there listening to pop songs or rock songs or your hip hop, all those have predictable beats, predictable rhythms, and that's cool and all. Don't get me wrong, it's cool and all. But if you're striking on the count of the song, your opponent's going to be, oh, that's a predictable rhythm. I can see this, and they can start timing your strikes. Jazz is broken, so if you listen to jazz, you listen to broken music, it's fine, but hey, it's weird, and that's why it's good to train to, and that's why the rhythm that Cyril Gane uses is that broken rhythm. So for Cyril Gane, that is incredibly awesome for his strikes because he's constantly feinting, and when he's throwing these strikes, they're coming at the wrong rhythm for your brain to process it, for his opponent's brain to process it. He's also very accurate, so that does help a lot. Now, is he accurate because he sets up his strikes well, or is he accurate because he's got pinpoint accuracy? Probably a little bit of both. So either way, both of these guys, fantastic at their specific skill set, horrible at the others. Sergei Spivac does not handle getting hit very well. He doesn't take shots very well, does not like it at all. Cyril Gane, he's horrible on the ground. You see him getting taken down, he's got nothing. He couldn't even get, he couldn't do anything against Francis Ngannou, who's not a wrestler. He obviously got ragdolled by John Jones, but realistically, John Jones beats both these guys. It's not a big deal. Either way, that's where we're at. Now, here's the thing, okay? I'm probably going to spend too much time on this fight, so if you're really just tired of this, skip ahead, but this, you're going to love this, so maybe. Anyway, I tried to tell you guys this in the breakdown with Sterling versus O'Malley, right? Everybody has said, well, if Jan could take down O'Malley, then Sterling can take down O'Malley. Okay, on just surface level, that makes sense. But here's the thing. The reason Jan could take down O'Malley, but Sterling was struggling, is because of their styles of getting takedowns. Now, here's the deal. Sterling was looking for his shot to get in, get a hold of O'Malley, and do it clean. You know, get that shot in clean, do what he had to do that way, right? But O'Malley, because of his long ranginess, his ability to use his footwork and stay off, he was able to avoid and never even get to a point where he had to worry about being taken down because Sterling wasn't able to get in there and get the takedowns in the first place. Okay, so that's where we're at there. Why was Jan able to get it down? Get O'Malley down? Well, it's because he didn't do that. He bulldogged his way in, put the guard up, came through, didn't give two craps about what he was going to eat on the way in, and got a hold of O'Malley and took him down. He would just barrel through it, okay? That's the difference. There are different styles. That's why when I was telling you, guys, O'Malley's going to be able to avoid the takedown. That's not, everybody said, oh no, if Jan could take him down. That's not, my point wasn't being received well, and I think it was probably my fault. I wasn't explaining it well. So hopefully that's a little bit better of explanation, because here we have a similar thing, okay? We have a guy that's going to have to avoid the takedown by staying at range, using that footwork, staying out of range of getting taken down, and not being, he's not even getting to the point where he has to defend the takedown. He's defending the takedown by not letting a guy like Spivac get close enough to take him down. Now, Spivac, this is where it comes in. Is Spivac going to do what Sterling did, stay out, looking for his shot, trying to figure it out, or is he going to do more what Jan did and just barrel his way in, get a hold of the takedown, and drag his opponent to the mat? Because once this fight hits the mat, Spivac's winning this fight. If he can't get it to the mat soon enough, Gane's winning this fight, and probably by knockout, because Spivac cannot take 5 rounds of Gane picking him apart at range. It's just not going to happen. The accumulation of shots. If it gets to the mat, there's no way Gane can survive 5 rounds on the ground against Spivac. So fight doesn't go to decision. That's easy. I feel like that's free. Either way, point being, do I believe that Spivac barrels through similar to what Jan did to O'Malley? Or do I believe that Spivac is going to be afraid and do the thing that Sterling did where he has to pick his shots because he's afraid of the power of Cyril Gane? Here's the deal. Cyril Gane doesn't have one-punch knockout power. We haven't seen it yet anyway if he does. Now, we understand that Spivac doesn't take punches very well. He doesn't like being hit. Who really does? I mean, there's a few weirdos out there, but it does suck. I've been hit plenty of times. It sucks. I believe Spivac understands this. I believe he understands that it's going to be hard for him to close that distance, but he needs to do that in order to get the fight to the mat, and if he gets the fight to the mat, he can win, and he's not going to win on the feet. I think he's smart enough to understand that, and I think he's going to take the Jan approach and barrel his way through. For that, I'm taking Sergei Spivac, but it's not my most confident pick of the night. If he wasn't the underdog, I would definitely stay away. Him being the underdog, it is a little enticing. Do with that information what you will. I'm taking Spivac for the pick. This is a tough fight, but the one who does win is going to probably make it look easy in their realm. So, hey, I appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Like it on your way out. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.